What's going on with y'all? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Ball Sports Network. Thank you guys for the continued support. Hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, we're here to talk about the hire that the Washington football team made in making Jason Wright the first black team president in the history of the NFL. Now, when I heard this, I'm not even gonna lie, I was pretty surprised because I I didn't realize there hadn't been not one black president in the history. We're talking about 100 years, guys. The history, 50 years, 50 plus years in the Super Bowl era, and then another, several years before that in the history of the NFL. And then what was even more surprising but made sense was that it was made by the Washington football team. You know, that same team that kept a name for nearly 90 years that offended a certain demographic of people and knew that it offended the demographic of people and still kept the name. You know, the Washington football team, the same team that had sexual harassment with cheerleaders, sexual scandals with 15 female employees over the course of years that just broke this summer. You know, that Washington football team. So all of this, like so many contributing factors. And then the fact that in this long history of the NFL, there hasn't been one black man or female or woman that a team deemed, acceptable or smart enough or, business savvy enough or whatever to be the team president of their company. And call me naive, call me dumb. I just found that to be incredible. Like, it took to 2020, it took to the uprising, it took to everything that's going on in society, COVID and everything, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, COVID, Ahmaud Arbery, to finally a team, an NFL franchise to say, this man, this black man is good enough or is qualified enough to be our team president, to lead our organization. You got your owner, and then you have your team president. I mean, that's the face of the franchise, essentially, in a business aspect. Your general manager runs the football operations. Your team president runs all the financials and the money and everything. And it took until now. But beside all of that, congratulations to Mr. Jason Wright. He's a guy, just to give you a little bit of background info on Jason Wright, he played 7 years in the NFL. Over the span of 7 years, he played for 4 teams. He was mainly a special teams guy, backup running back, played a lot of special teams. So he knows the NFL from a player's perspective. But he also was a Northwestern graduate and an MBA graduate of the University of Chicago. So he knows business. This man is well qualified for this job. He is the youngest team president in the history of the NFL. At 38 years old, he becomes the youngest team president in the history of the NFL. And I am just I'm to say I'm happy I am. I'm very happy that there is a black man that is going to run an NFL franchise. And what makes this hire even better, one, I'm not even gonna lie to you. At the beginning, I thought this may have been just Washington trying to get some good press. Washington has taken a lot of heat, particularly this summer. Dan Snyder and the Washington football team hasn't looked good at all. I mean, they have been terrible on the field for a while now. Like, that's beside the point. But as far as a PR standpoint and as an organization and as a franchise, their culture has been terrible towards women. Their culture has been terrible towards minorities, has been terrible towards the Native American community. Like, it hasn't been good at all. And it finally took until this summer for them to find, with 15 former employees, women employees, to come out and say, hey, we were sexually harassed or sexually, whatever, by people, by general managers, by team presidents, by people in high esteem in the Washington organization. All of those guys are finally out of there, and now it's up to Ron Rivera, the head coach, and Jason Wright, the team president, to come in and change the culture. But what makes this hire even better for me is the fact that Jason Wright isn't a yes man. If you look at I'm reading some of the things that he's done even in recent times. He has come out and spoke out against the disparity as far as black people getting COVID. He has talked about the wealth disparity as far as black people not having their money in other business ventures outside of fashion and food. I mean, he's basically said it, and I'm like, dang, you're right. A lot of black people, their business ventures is in food and in fashion. And he's like, there's a whole world out there that black people should be investing their money into, and that way they can get that piece of the wealth. Because fashion and food, yes, there is money in fashion and food, but There's a whole lot of money in other places that black people aren't taking, aren't getting and aren't taking advantage of. And that to me lets me know that he cares about the black community. He is not someone that's just going to come in there and say yes to everything any white man's gonna tell him. He's gonna be someone that comes in and has a voice of his own. And there, I mean, let's be honest. We all know people that just come in and say yes. And whatever Dan Snyder, there are some black people that would have come in and said whatever Dan Snyder says is just a yes. But Jason Wright is someone that looks to challenge Dan Snyder and to challenge the Washington football team in some of the places that they have been lacking for years. And to me, this could also bring a great opportunity to the black community for other black men and other black women and other minorities or whoever to get a chance to get positions of high esteem like this. I mean, he's opening doors. He's a gatekeeper, and he's opening doors for other people. And I think general managers, black people as far as team presidents, and black people being in positions of power in the NFL. Now, granted, let's be honest here, guys. This is still the NFL, right? Like, it's still 32 owners. There's no black owners in the NFL, even though black people make up 75% of the league. Like, we still understand that there may be a ceiling that Jason Wright hits. I mean, let's just be honest. It still is the NFL. Like, we saw what they did to Cap. Like, they're coming out and apologizing for it now, but we saw what they did to Cap. Like, there's still maybe a glass ceiling, but the fact that he is finally able to get there, finally able to put a person that looks like me in a position of power for an NFL team on the business side of things. Not just a player, but a suit. He is a suit now. And we have somebody in a power play move in a suit and not just in a helmet. And that, to me, is something that could really open doors for a lot of people down the road. Some people can aspire to be a president of an NFL team now. Now that, before Monday, it wasn't fathomable because it had never happened before. You guys let me know your thoughts on the hire Jason Wright, the former NFL player, now the president of the Washington football team. Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Ball Sports Network. Thank you guys, and via Talk It Up Sports. Thank you guys for watching. Continue to hit the thumbs up button, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.